when I drove my little raggedy piece of car in front of St. Mike's, and it seemed like everybody in St. Mike's ran to my car. Hey, what you need? Help me bring my things in, help me to check in. I'm like, wow. I didn't expect that, but it's that sense of community from day one that I experienced at Xavier that just made it perfect for me.
What's new, XU? I'll tell you. Welcome to a special episode of Xavier Gold Live, the podcast, bringing you stories of leadership, impact, and the Xavier spirit. But today's a little different.
Yeah, today is bittersweet. This episode marks the beginning of a new chapter. And before we turn the page, we'd like to take a look back, highlight some of our favorite memories.
From our chit-chat with then National Alumni Association President, Chantel Shackelford.
And when I see my fellow Xavierites in the news, when I see them on social media doing their things and being recognized, it's like, yes, because that's my family right there.
To that legendary episode with Senator Royce Duplessis.
We can't rest. We can't rest just on legacy, just on history. As we reach this 100-year milestone, we're setting the pathway for the next 100 years. All of these people who work day in and day out to expand the mission of Xavier, what are we doing to make ourselves more competitive so that young people, when they're graduating high school, they say, I want to be a part of that.
We've laughed, we've reflected, and we've even gotten a little misty-eyed along the way.
I want to cry. The single most important decision in my life was to be here.
But through it all, this podcast has always been about you, our Xavier family.
As you guys know, I'm a graduating senior, and Jalen is transitioning into something new. But before I turn my tassel and we dip off the show, it's time to turn the mic over to our new host.
No pressure, right?
None at all, none at all.
Hey there, Xavier family. My name is Jamya Stewart, a sophomore psychology major hailing from the great city of Chicago, Illinois.
And I'm Amaya Sanford, a sophomore mass communications major, political science minor from Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm not gonna lie, Jam, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, Maya, I share the same sentiment. It seems like we got some big shoes to fill here.
Oh, you ladies got this. The beauty of Xavier Gold Live is that it's built on connecting with alumni through conversation. And you two, you've got the heart and history to keep that going.
But to make sure you're ready, we've got a little initiation plan. Rapid fire moment. Favorite Xavier memory. Go.
My favorite Xavier memory is definitely during freshman week. There is no week on Xavier's campus like freshman week when you first step on campus. I was all the way on Carrollton at IHOP at 2 a.m. for no reason at all.
I'm not gonna lie, Maya, I think mine has you beat. Homecoming was a time. Homecoming this year, we had an amazing time. I had some friends that crossed into Greek life. The vibes were going. The alumni were outside, even throughout the rain. Our Xavier family pushed through.
Well, there'll be plenty of time for you guys to mix and mingle with the alumni, especially next month at the Alumni Leadership Conference, held right here in New Orleans from June 19th to the 22nd.
See? Y'all sounded like pros already.
For real. So to all of our listeners, thank you so much for riding with us. Keep tuning in, because this podcast isn't just about the past, it's about the future too. And with these two at the wheel, I know the podcast will only advance, because this is Xavier Gold Live, the podcast.
Hold on. I think you should let them say it.
You're right. Take it away, ladies.
This is Xavier Gold Live, the podcast
where Xavier's legacy comes to life. Now, it's time to get into this episode with TaShia and Dr. Reverend Stevens.
Today, we are connecting with a true servant leader, an inspiring voice in both ministry and music, and a double alumnus from both golden classes of 92 and 2024. Reverend Dr. Mitchell J. Stevens. His impact doesn't stop there. With the love for service and a focus in ministry, not only is Rev Dr. Stevens dedicated to his pastoral and academic roles, but he is also committed to ensuring that institutions remain steadfast in fostering initiatives that uplift and empower communities. Through his leadership in the Louisiana Freedom in Ministry Baptist General Association and his work as an interfaith chaplain at Xavier University, he actively nurtures these programs that emphasize faith, education, and service. No wonder he's here at Xavier. His passion for ministry, music, and mentorship continues to inspire future generations to lead with purpose and compassion. So without further ado, let's welcome Reverend Dr. Mitchell Stevens to the Xavier Gold Live podcast.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming to connect with us here today, Reverend. How are you feeling?
I feel great. I feel blessed and honored.
Yes, and you're looking great, looking dapper, y'all. Y'all should see the suit. Okay?
Thank you.
So let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
So you've been serving in the leadership role as pastor for over 2 decades.
Yes.
How has your ministry shaped your approach to community service?
Oh, my goodness. So in the last 20 plus years as a senior pastor, actually I have a heart for ministry and a heart for the community. I've been able to lead many experiences of feeding the homeless. We do clothing drives. I actually work with an organization that is actually international. It's called Lot Carry Foreign Mission Convention. And so I've had an opportunity to go to foreign fields and minister and do work, get my hands a little dirty, kind of helping those individuals and communities. So it's been a blessing.
Okay. And so we know that Xavier is known for, fostering servant leaders that you are today.
Yes.
Can you speak on like the Xavier legacy that you were exposed to and how the pipeline that you are building, like in your role as interfaith chaplain, ensures that the next generation of Xavierites understand the importance of faith-based leadership in service?
Absolutely. So I love telling this story. I came to Xavier as actually a transfer. I came from McNeese State University, really at a time in my life when I felt school wasn't for me. Because I tried to be a pre-med major, and that wasn't my calling or my gift.
Okay.
But I met a good friend of mine now who was a recruiter for Xavier, and one day he heard me sing, and he said, "Hey man, why don't you go and audition at Xavier University in New Orleans?" And he said, I promise you, if they hear you sing, they're going to give you a full ride. And I was like, full ride? Oh, okay. Xavier, New Orleans, So I actually came and auditioned, and that's where the journey started. And so as a student at Xavier, some kind of way I fell in campus ministry office, and I became director of the gospel choir while I was at Xavier. And I'm just proud to say the gospel choir grew from maybe 30 to about 300 plus students were in gospel choir in my day. And it was like the organization to join was gospel choir. Everybody was in gospel choir. But Xavier poured into my life. I became the man that I am today because of Xavier campus ministry and those faculty members that poured into my life. So not a cliche, but I did ask God to send me back to Xavier so that I can do the same thing and pour into the lives of students the way I was poured into. And he blessed me to have this opportunity.
Yes, and please just touch on like what that pouring into students' lives look like. I know you have the coffee and conversations.
Right.
Can you touch on like just that day-to-day role that you have?
So I've created my office to be the safe space. And so I have an open door policy. So at any given time, I'm waiting for some students to walk through the door, either just to say, good morning, hey, Rev, how things going? I just came to see you. Or, and sometimes students will come and really need a shoulder to lean on, a voice of reason. So a lot of students come to me every single day for those opportunities. But let me tell you who I am. I'm actually a mentor to a lot of students. And I am I guess I call it, I'm not a real mentor. I just kind of fell into the mentor role.
It's an unassigned.
Unassigned mentor is who I am. So I have a lot of mentees around, and even students honestly will ask me, "Okay, can you mentor me?" Like, yeah, come join the other 50, So I'm like a father, mentor to many students here.
Yes. And speaking of that voice of reason,
Yeah.
If I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living shall not be in vain.
Yeah.
Is that Mahalia Jackson? Is that a song?
That's a song.
Okay, now tell me what that motto means to you.
So since I am a servant leader, and I've been a servant leader all of my life, I did not understand it when I was younger. But there was a song, this is a song I heard that I really liked. It is a gospel, sort of a hymn. And it says, my living shall not be in vain, because I want to make the best expression. I want to, I guess I look at my life that I'm a mirror. So I want when individuals see me, not only is it a reflection of what they can be and should be, but also I want them to be able to see Christ in me, the life that I live. And so that particular song, so y'all don't know this, I was Mr. Xavier back in the ancient Stone Age.
We're going to get into that.
Yeah. So, I was reading in the yearbook something they were interviewing me, and it's just so crazy that that's what I said. Well, if I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living shall not be in vain. So it's really my life's motto.
Yes, and we will unpack that, what you call the Stone Age, and we will be unpacking that yearbook.
Yes.
But this is a Catholic institution. But one thing I think Xavier does well is accepting and incorporating more than one belief. So how have you incorporated living shall not be in vain, How have you incorporated that in both your pastoral work and campus ministry?
Mm-hmm. I just think they all coincide. I'm one who believe that a person can achieve anything that they put their hearts and their mind to do. I really believe that. And sometimes they need a push, a nudge. They need some words of encouragement to say, you can make it. And so I've seen how, when a student has some type of spiritual self-efficacy, that they have some type of faith, I do believe they can do well academically and in their future lives.
Yes. And as a alumnus turned faculty member, tell us more about that transition. And what do you think has been like the most rewarding part of seeing both sides of Xavier, not only once as a student, but now as someone who can influence a student's whole experience?
Right. So I was at Xavier when we had many nuns and on campus, and I saw something yesterday that a student walked across the grass, and I'm like, oh, you can't walk across the grass. And I said, oh yeah, this is a new day. But we were really taught to honor the campus. Even how we would try to dress every day and look up to others. Hey, we got to try to help this person. If someone didn't have, but I know I tend to try to do the same thing. I also advise Collegiate 100, for example. And even yesterday, if you saw some of the Collegiate 100s walking around, they had suits and ties, and the alphas that I advise, I always say, hey, you got to have all the suits on at least once a week, really to show them what could be a part of their future. And I do believe that being your best, putting your best foot forward, I believe in that to, let folks really see who you are. Yes. Yeah.
And it does start with how you choose to, represent yourself through how you choose to look.
In 1925, a promise was fulfilled. St. Catherine Drexel and the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament founded Xavier University of Louisiana, the only Catholic HBCU in the nation. Then, in 1980, a new chapter of faith and scholarship began. Visionaries of the Institute for Black Catholic Studies gathered for the very first summer session, right here on Xavier's sacred grounds. And now, in 2025, we celebrate 100 years of Xavier University. From June 29th through July 18th, the Institute returns home to reflect on God's gift of blackness in theology and ministry, in community, service, and joy. Join us at the Institute for Black Catholic Studies, a response in praise and thanksgiving for Christ's faithfulness. This is more than a gathering. This is legacy. This is service. This is Xavier.
Now it's time to take a trip down memory lane. Wow. To that ancient time that you So the year is 1988, and Spike Lee has released Coming to America. Okay, everybody is rocking windbreakers and track suits. And I recall seeing a throwback picture of you in the yearbook that looked to have been a high top fade. Okay. So just give us some insight on what that era was like for you.
Fun.
That sum it up, just fun.
Yeah. We just, we lived life to the fullest. We had fun. Someone made a joke yesterday, and they said, because in your generation, y'all couldn't come in on Saturdays. I said, what are you talking about? You had to stay outside and play all day long. I was like, nah, we just had fun.
Yeah.
So we just, so it was fun.
Different definition.
Yeah, that's my definition.
Okay, so speaking of the tracksuits and the windbreakers, what made you feel like Xavier was the perfect fit for you? I know you said you came in, you auditioned. Mm-hmm. What was it about this campus that was like, yeah, I actually do belong here?
It was, number one, first day, a sense of community. When I drove my little raggedy piece of car in front of St. Mike's, and it seemed like everybody in St. Mike's ran to my car. Hey, what you need? Help me bring my things in. Help me to check in. I was like, wow. I didn't expect that, but it's that sense of community from day one that I experienced at Xavier that just made it perfect for me.
Yes. And can you sense like any similarities or maybe even differences like of the community that we have here at Xavier today?
I think maybe there is sort of the lackluster of community. Mm-hmm. In Coffee and Conversation this morning, I actually posed a question. I said, well, how can we have a revival on Xavier's campus? How will it start? Several students said we need to revisit what it really means to be a community, because we're not as close to one another maybe as it was in your day, or as it really should be. And so that's pretty interesting. But they said really if there would be a sense of community, and they feel it's not really present as much now than it was back in my time.
Can you touch more so on a XU memory that's just like, maybe you told your daughter before she applied, like, hey, XU is the place to be. Like, what would that core selling point memory be for you? Like,
oh, wow. Let me think a minute.
Take a minute.
I think I got a few, but I think it was when I became a music major, of course, but I think it's when the professors actually told me, you're really gifted. You can sing. I think I thought I could sing, but when they really started to push me and make me do some things I wasn't comfortable doing. But so I think when I auditioned for, I think it was like an opera or something like that, when I really thought I could never do something like that. That's one memory that I became one of the lead singers in this opera production. I was like, wow, I'm on stage. I'm on stage at Xavier. And then we also performed it at, I think it's called La Petite Theater in the Quarters. And so we had a lot of opportunities to travel and do concerts pretty much all over the United States. And, I'm here at Xavier, and I'm having all these opportunities to be exposed, my talent heard and seen. So, I remember those memories.
Yeah. They didn't say you could sing. They said you could sing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so as we know, you are a 2-time alumnus. Mm-hmm. We call you a golden alumnus.
Okay.
Because not only did you just couldn't get enough of Xavier, you had to come back.
Right.
And then you work here. So
right.
we know you love you some Xavier.
I do.
So much so that your better half is also...
Yeah, let's talk about that.
An alumna?
Yes, she is.
Tell us how you found your true love, and what does it mean to have that legacy that both of you have started?
Right. So I just want to say, my wife graduated the year before me, so we were here at the same time. But hold on, for some reason I never met her. I never met her at Xavier, and being so small, we knew everybody. I did not know her.
But the fact that y'all found each other?
But we found each other.
All right, so touch on that.
So I was actually at her church. I had to play the piano and sing for a concert they were having. And so somebody said, you need to meet that little girl named Carrie. I said, who is Carrie? So they all brought me to meet my future wife, and there was a bunch of ladies, older ladies standing around, and she was selling little pocket calendars. And they asked, want to buy a pocket calendar? Sure. And the ladies wrote her name and number in the calendar and gave it to me and said, call her. So I called her. And then she said, when I called the first time, she said she was busy. I was like, what? You gonna turn me down? But yeah, so I called back. And
that's one thing about that Xavier, right, y'all?
Yeah, you can't give up.
Xavier men.
Them Xavier men something else.
They gonna be diligent. They gonna do that work.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And shout out to them church ladies.
Them church ladies.
Hey. They not gonna lead you wrong.
No.
All right. So, what does it mean to you to be a Xavierite?
Wow. It means perseverance. It means being goal-oriented. And it means reaching and becoming the best version of yourself. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Tied in a bow. Yes. So, what would you say are some aspirations that you have for Xavier's future? I know you've seen Xavier and all its transitions. We're in our centennial year. What are some aspirations that you have as we reach our next century?
Well, I'm loving the fact that Xavier will now have a med school and can be at the hub for STEM programs and all. I'm really excited about that. And I just want to see Xavier as it is transforming itself and being the place for men and women of color, that it will continue to be that leading force in educating our black boys and black girls.
Yes. And speaking of that hub for black men and black women, what do you feel like that black excellence did for you? Like being surrounded by that black excellence. How has that like molded your career or how you approach your career path? Right.
Always being to be at my best, working really hard. I actually learned work ethics at Xavier. As a student, Xavier has many opportunities to get involved. And so if a student not involved, I don't think you're trying or you're not looking, right? So, I learned what it meant to really get involved, but to find that niche. I found it at Xavier. So, that's how it helped me to become who I am today.
Absolutely. What advice would you share with alumni on how they can best either stay connected or give back to Xavier?
Xavier students, current students, are looking for mentorship, and I think it's important that alumni would, visit, make themselves available. Of course, give some funds, making sure that our students are well taken care of financially, but really allow them to see you at your best, but also having an open heart and open hands to help our students in their career paths.
Absolutely. Okay, well, now it's time to rush our gold guest into answering some rapid fire questions. Now, this segment of the podcast is called the Live 5. We will ask you 5 questions we think our gold community would love to know. So let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
All right. Question number 1. Do you bring your lunch or do you eat in the caf?
I eat in the caf.
Eat in the caf, okay. What was your favorite artist growing up?
I don't know.
Next question. Your favorite Bible scripture?
Oh, Psalm 138.
What is a go-to restaurant in town?
Okay, my favorite is Houston.
And then the last one. Would it be if I didn't? Please sing us just a little sample of your favorite hymn. The floor is yours.
If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or a song. If I can show somebody that he's traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain.
Y'all drop the mic right there. Yes. Thank you, Rev.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. And so it was a pleasure just connecting with you through conversation.
Thank you.
How can our Grow and Go community connect with you online?
Well, I'm working on my social media platforms.
Okay. But we know where we can find you.
You know where you can find me. Exactly. Here at Xavier's campus.
Well, thank you so much again for your time and connecting with me through conversation. Thank you for tuning in to the Xavier Gold Live podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Now, XU, you know what to do. Join our Grow and Go community on the first Tuesday of every month.
This podcast is available to listen to wherever you listen to your podcast. Do us a favor by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show today. Make sure to also follow us on social media and subscribe to our monthly newsletter.
This is Xavier Gold Live, the podcast where Xavier's legacy comes to life.